We are in peak Godzilla season right now. Godzilla as a franchise just celebrated its 69th anniversary with so much releasing in the coming months. There's an Apple TV Plus show about to premiere, Godzilla Minus One is soon to hit theaters this December, and the Godzilla vs. Kong sequel is set to come out next year. Not to mention all the recent marketing pushes and collaborations Godzilla has had. It's quite the time to be alive as a Godzilla fan. We're just getting spoon-fed new shit all the time, it feels like, and I'm here for it. It's starting to feel cool to be a Godzilla fan. I don't know about anyone else, but growing up with an obsession of Godzilla made me feel separate from the other kids. Dare I say cringe. Like, all the other kids were obsessed with more mainstream things like superheroes, Star Wars, Disney princesses, Justin Bieber, and then there was me. I had Godzilla. For whatever reason, I was captivated by a guy in a rubber dinosaur suit fighting another guy in a rubber dinosaur suit. Growing up, it just felt like I had a passion for something that no one else around me shared. Nowadays, that sort of thing doesn't really bother me anymore, and with big projects like the Monsterverse and all the collaborations, Godzilla has been pushed into the mainstream and is now cool to like. It warms my heart as a diehard Godzilla fan to see. I can't wait to see where the franchise goes from here, but I can't help but feel like something is missing at the moment. Something interactive, something I can boot up and spend hours on, where I can have fun by myself or with friends. Not a movie or a TV show. I need a...
Godzilla, destroy all monsters. Melee.
Yeah, that's right, I'm talking about a video game. We have been in a Godzilla video game drought for way too long. Over 8 years at the time I'm recording this. There's an itch in my brain that only a new Godzilla game can scratch, and the longer I go without something, the worse it gets. Seriously, it has been an eternity since the last Godzilla game has been released. Like, what have we had recently now? This doesn't count. I'm sure someone is hyped for this, but I'm not that someone. You know, a turn-based strategy Godzilla game wasn't what I was expecting to see from Toho. I guess a Godzilla game with turn-based or even RPG elements could be cool, but it wouldn't be my ideal Godzilla game. When I say I want a new Godzilla game, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some sort of arena fighting game with a wide selection of monsters to play as, something you can have a blast with friends on multiplayer or by yourself with single player modes. A story mode would be really cool, but I'll also be fine with something like an arcade mode. The last major Godzilla game was creatively named Godzilla for the PS3 and PS4, which was released in 2015. It was a cool game. It was actually the only reason why I wanted a PS4 as a kid. My biggest mistake was trading in my copy at GameStop for $1.50 and some chewed up gum because the game is no longer on the PlayStation Store and physical copies are horrendously overpriced. If I remember correctly, the game played pretty clunky and the monster balance was non-existent. Also,
Godzilla is approaching the generator. The generator is losing power. Godzilla is approaching the generator. Godzilla is approaching the generator. The generator is losing power. Godzilla is approaching the generator.
I'm pretty sure I heard the game was essentially a port of a Japanese arcade game, but I can't find any info supporting that, so don't quote me on it. Either way, I really enjoyed the game. And that was it. We haven't really had anything since then. The closest thing we had to a new Godzilla game in recent times is the Godzilla DLC for the Arena Kaiju brawler game Giga Bash, which is actually a really cool game, you should get it. The game takes heavy inspiration from the Pipeworks trilogy of Godzilla games back in the 2000s. The DLC included Godzilla, Gigan, Mechagodzilla, and Destroya as playable characters, and I'm not gonna lie, when I was playing as them, I felt like I was a kid again playing the Pipeworks games. Which, speaking of the Pipeworks games, these were the peak of Godzilla games, the gold standard, the cream of the crop if you will. Nothing that came out before or after these games has topped them, they are that good. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee was my childhood. I still have my copy with me today. Godzilla Unleashed was great as well, I was just never a huge fan of the Wiimote controls in the game. I never had a PlayStation 2 or Xbox to play Save the Earth as a kid, but playing it today I think it's the best out of the three. It took everything that was great about Destroy All Monsters Melee, the intuitive controls, goofy physics, and dumb monster mayhem, and just expanded on them by adding new monsters and updating the graphics. Most Godzilla fans, myself included, are looking for a new game in the style of the Pipeworks Godzilla games. Many are in favor of a remaster of them, which I would be super happy with. I think what I'm looking for is a modern take on the Pipeworks games, a sort of Godzilla arena brawler with current gen graphics and a ton of monsters to play as. I'm talking Smash Ultimate numbers. I want some obscure monster picks. Give me Skeleturtle, that would be incredible. I don't know what the fuck he'd do in the game, but they can make something up. Hell, just make it a kaiju version of Smash Bros. Where a bunch of kaiju cross over to duke it out in a single game. Give me Godzilla, Gamera, Ultraman, King Kong, this guy. I think I'd want the game to play a little bit slower than the Pipeworks games, so the movement could feel a bit more grounded and realistic. Maybe something in between Save the Earth and the 2015 game. A story mode would be awesome to see as well. If I'm going to make more comparisons to Smash Bros, a story mode on the level of the Subspace Emissary or even the World of Light would be a dream come true for me. I'd like it to be more in depth than something like the Godzilla Unleashed story, but I understand if that's asking for too much. At this point, I'll take anything that isn't this. I can imagine Toho being somewhat scared to create another big Godzilla game since the PS4 game received less than favorable reviews from critics. So they've just been pumping out smaller projects like the recent mobile games, the Gigabash DLC, and this one.
This is not right, this is not cool.
And I can't fully blame the critics for trashing on the PS4 game. Looking back at the game now, I can definitely see the issues. The controls were clunky, the movement was slow, if you were fighting Biollante, good luck. The single player grew stale, and I don't remember the online being that great either. This created a gameplay loop which grew pretty old quickly. There wasn't much else to do after beating the story, going through the arcade mode a few times with the different monsters, and trying to play online. I feel like I would be more forgiving of these issues if the combat was better. I understand the game was made to capture how the monsters would really move and behave, but I don't know. I feel like this game's combat could have used some of the goofy combat and physics of the Pipeworks trilogy. Some parts of the game were just a slog to get through. I do still have very fun memories of this game though, and if I still had my copy of it, I would definitely revisit it from time to time with a smile on my face. Given all the success Godzilla as a franchise has seen in the past decade, I feel like it's only a matter of time until a big new game is announced. There's just no way they don't have something going on behind the scenes that they just haven't revealed yet, right? I don't know about anyone else, but whenever I'm watching a gaming event like the Game Awards or even the Sony State of Plays, in the back of my head I'm always anticipating a Godzilla game reveal. This has been going on for a little while now, but I'm feeling lucky this year. I know the Game Awards got something cooking for me this time. Please. But really, it has been too quiet for way too long. I think I'm starting to go insane. Godzilla Battle Line just ain't cutting it anymore. While researching for this video, I wanted to make sure I wasn't just talking out of my ass, so I checked for any recent Godzilla video game news, which is when I came across this article. The title alone had me feeling like an idiot. How could I not have known about this new Godzilla video game for PC and console? And then 5 seconds later I read this line and everything made sense. It's not fun anymore, guys. Where's my real Godzilla game? The Monsterverse can do better than that. I can actually see the Monsterverse being front and center in whatever new big Godzilla game comes out, since legendary Godzilla essentially serves as the face of Godzilla at the moment, especially if Warner Bros is at the helm of the game. It's over $1 billion franchise, so I could definitely see Legendary and Warner Bros considering a big budget Monsterverse fighting game, but I hope it wouldn't just be limited to the Monsterverse. You know, I honestly wouldn't mind seeing Pipeworks get back on it. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee was their first big release as game developers in 2002. It runs in their veins. They've developed quite the reputation since then, partnering with large companies and helping to develop many notable titles like Terraria, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Call of Duty Vanguard, and 2010's Jeopardy for the Nintendo Wii. They know what cemented them as capable game developers. I wouldn't mind seeing them go back to their roots and making something like a remaster of their Godzilla trilogy that many fans are asking for. Those games serve as the perfect example of what a Godzilla game should play like, and seeing a modern spin on them is honestly making my hopes go up way too high. But I feel like it could perform well if given the proper care and development time. I don't really have any other ideas as to what game developers should make a new Godzilla game, since we could only really work off the Pipeworks games. I do remember Ed Boon, the lead developer of the Mortal Kombat games, tweeting about a new monster fighting game a few years back, mentioning monsters like Godzilla and King Kong. When I think about it, a Godzilla fighting game in a 2D arcade style like Mortal Kombat doesn't sound that bad to me. Not that Ed Boon was implying anything with that tweet, but I can see something like this happening as well, which I would be happy with. It could probably play like a modern version of Godzilla Kaiju Daikessen for the SNES, which was a 2D arcade fighter and looked fun. There is so much potential in a modern Godzilla game, it's almost got me depressed to make this video because I don't want to be talking about how great a new Godzilla game would be. I want to be playing a new Godzilla game. But like I said earlier, I think it's only a matter of time that something gets announced. Godzilla is growing exponentially and is making more money than ever, so a big budget video game being in the works makes sense to me. All we can do now is just sit and wait for something to be announced or teased. I still got my hopes up for the Game Awards. Maybe not this year, but also maybe this year, since there's a lot of Godzilla going around right now. That's what I'm telling myself at least. I guess we'll see soon enough. But yeah, that's what I think. Godzilla is definitely due for a big new game, and I can only hope it uses the Pipeworks trilogy as inspiration. Either way, I can't wait to see what is next for the franchise. Do I have any other Godzilla fans watching this? Be sure to share your thoughts with me in the comments section, and if you're not a Godzilla fan, what are you waiting for? Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like this, be sure to stomp that like button and please do consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. But yeah, that's it for me today. Thanks for tuning in.